Welcome to MuggleCast, your Harry Potter podcast talking about everything in the wizarding world. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
We're joined by one of our patrons this week. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Good. Where are you in the country?
I am in West Michigan in Grand Rapids.
Oh, not too far from Eric and I.
Yep.
That's nice. So it's great to have you on. On today's show, we're going to recap what happened on September 1st. Actually, a lot happened. Everybody's in on the Back to Hogwarts excitement these days. This used to be just a fan thing. Like, even 2 years ago, it was just a fan thing. Now all the brands are in on it, too. So we'll talk about what happened. And this year's Back to Hogwarts was actually very special because it marked 20 years since Sorcerer's Stone was published in the United States, which is crazy. And then, instead of doing chapter by chapter this week, we are going to look at MuggleNet's Crimes of Grindelwald Set Report. They learned a lot when they visited. And we have some voicemails to get to today as well. But first, Matt, let's learn a little bit about you. We'll get your fandom ID. In one breath, please give us, from Michigan, your favorite book, movie, Hogwarts House, Ilvermorny House, Patronus, and in honor of Sorcerer's Stone, your favorite Sorcerer's Stone quote.
All right. My favorite book is Deathly Hallows. My favorite movie is Prisoner of Azkaban. I am a Ravenclaw and a Wampus. My Patronus is a Fox Terrier. And my favorite quote is from Dumbledore, of course. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Would it be possible for you to do that in the Dumbledore voice for us?
I'll try. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Oh, man. Andrew, your Dumbledore impression has a contender.
Yeah, that was good. Team player. I like it.
Competition.
You know, it's funny about that quote. Somebody did a mural with that quote down the block for me. And, of course, I was very excited to have somebody paint a Harry Potter quote near me. But I couldn't remember the exact wording, and I actually thought it was a mistake. I thought it does not do well to dwell on dreams and forget to live. So I had to go, I was looking at the mural, I was like, is that right? So I went and Googled it, and of course I was wrong, but I was going to be really upset if they misquoted Dumbledore.
It's good that you didn't.
You would have moved house, right?
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say it would be bad if he went out there and had spray painted well in there before actually going and checking.
Fixed it.
Yeah. That would have been a sweet MuggleCast story.
Live from jail, where I graffitied it.
From jail. September 1st has come and gone. It happened this past Saturday. It was pretty exciting. The morning started off with Eddie Redmayne and Jude Law, the two stars of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, making a surprise appearance at King's Cross. And they met fans there. That was cute. Did you see those pictures?
Yeah, saw the video. I thought it's cool that they're kind of continuing the tradition with Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. It's kind of still crazy to me to see Jude Law involved in the Harry Potter fandom. Seemingly excited.
I'm thrilled.
But all the brands got in on the action too. Pottermore was celebrating. The theme parks were celebrating. The social media accounts were celebrating. Cursed Child Australia announced their cast.
Ooh.
Yeah, good-looking cast, including Harry. He is attractive. Oh, my God. Never thought I'd say that about Harry Potter. Hermione is still black, I'm pleased to report. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would become a story if Hermione ever became white again.
Yeah, probably.
You know? All the movies are back in theaters. I don't know if this was timed for Back to Hogwarts, but did you see that AMC and Cinemark are doing these movie marathons?
They're like $5.
Yeah. So cheap. I'm really tempted to go to one of these. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm going to hopefully go check at least one of them out because I haven't seen all of the movies in theaters. I never I wasn't into Potter at the right time, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And we've always we've still allowed you onto the show despite the fact that you were a late bloomer.
Well, Eric was too.
Well, yeah.
Well, I came in on the first movie. So I don't know. I mean, you were here at the right time, Micah. You were on this show. from the get-go. So I think that
I'm just teasing him.
Yeah. But
you're not a real
You've
fan.
never seen like the first. You've never seen the first two then in theaters, Micah?
I would say I don't think I've seen the first. I think Goblet of Fire was the first one I saw in theaters.
Wow.
Oh man, that means you were already. Our live MuggleCast was like episode 17 or 18 or whatever in New York. You hadn't seen the movie because that was the premiere. You were on MuggleCast for like 20 episodes without having seen a movie.
Well, I've seen the movie. The first 3 movies were already out at that point.
Oh,
Just
right.
not
Just
in
not in theaters. Got it.
Just not in theaters.
But even somebody like me who's seen them all in theaters, I would love to see them on the big screen again. There's just something very special about seeing these movies in a large format.
It's true.
How about you, Matt? Or have you felt tempted to see one of these?
Yeah. I mean, I'd always go back and see movies again. You know.
Yeah. So that's going on throughout September. If you're interested, just go to AMC or Cinemark's websites and you can find the info. And then finally, and I think this is some of the biggest news, in my opinion. Pottery Barn released a new line of Harry Potter merchandise, and it is seriously amazing. I was sitting here at my desk just in awe at this stuff. They have, so first of all, this is their second wave. They released products last year, but this new stuff is even better. They have a beautiful Hedwig bedside table. They have a Great Hall dresser for your bedroom with the Hogwarts emblem inside of it. They have a Hogwarts Great Hall bed frame with the house emblems on it, and it's wooden and tall. They have, and this was my favorite, a Phoenix floor lamp with the lights inside of the Phoenix. So the Phoenix is glowing from within, which I just thought was very beautiful. And then they got these cool bean bags. They got a golden snitch desk lamp, a Hedwig table lamp. Like, my God, this stuff is for adults, and that's what excites me so much.
It's great stuff. It appears to be well made. It's certainly well crafted. The look of like the owl lamp, for instance, just looks like it was meant for the movie. Looks like you're walking into an adult wizard's home, and that's just, a regular lamp he has.
Right. So Pottery Barn, like you said, well crafted. Also very expensive. A lot of this stuff is definitely out of our price range. But
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, these are like $100 minimum, $200, $300. There's a full-length Mirror of Erised, which I saw a lot of people were excited by, because we've always seen like the small versions available that you can put on like a top of a dresser. But this one is full body length Mirror of Erised, which was several $100s, but probably worth it. Don't know if it actually works.
The one thing I'm trying to figure out, I'm on the Pottery Barn website now. I need to know if that headboard with the wooden engraved crests has a raven or an eagle for Ravenclaw. Because if they screwed this up, I'm going to be very, very, very upset.
Well, you can deface something too, like I was talking about earlier this episode.
Yeah, I'm going to correct every headboard. I'm going to travel the country and go make it into an eagle.
Where is that? So the Phoenix lamp. This is a floor lamp, so it's very tall. $400. The floor length Mirror of Erised, also $400. We should be playing Prices Right. Guess these prices. I'm trying to find that headboard. The dresser is $1,500. Oh, the Great Hall bed is $2,000.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. I'm gonna zoom in.
Yeah, not as cheap as IKEA. But you know what? And I said this on Twitter. I like merchandise that doesn't throw the brand in my face. I like that most of this stuff is subtle. I can show my love for fandom in a subtle way. I hate these shirts that say Harry Potter on them. I don't even really like the shirts that say Gryffindor on them. I just like the emblem. Just give me the emblem. Don't give me all the text with it. Make it cool.
It looks like a raven to me, guys.
Okay. So that's good, right?
No, Ravenclaw's animal is an eagle.
Uh-oh. We need to call Pottery Barn immediately.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to carve. I'm gonna get carving.
Well, all this stuff is approved by J.K. Rowling, so
it's just a bit ridiculous that all the pillows and all this official merchandise, and they don't make that minor adjustment.
Well, this is for adults, despite it being on pbteen.com. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just want one of those bathrobes.
Yeah, the bathrobes, velvet bathrobes.
Oh, is it velvet? Even better.
Yeah, right. They have a faux Hogwarts book set lockbox. I didn't really know how to describe this on Hypable, but like it looks like a set of Hogwarts books, and then you like pull down on the top, and there's storage inside.
Oh, that's why I was like, who got these books to fit so snugly on this thing?
Right.
I'm like, if I can never pull one out because they're so perfect.
Yeah.
Good to know it's a faux, lockbox thing.
Pretty cool stuff. So good on you, Pottery Barn. Like I said, it has been 20 years now since Sorcerer's Stone was published in the U.S. This anniversary kind of got glossed over yesterday. Everybody was so excited about Back to Hogwarts, and then like the official channels are more into promoting Crimes of Grindelwald than the book that came out 20 years ago. But pretty amazing anniversary. It's crazy to think it's been 20 years now. Matt, how did you discover the Harry Potter series?
I was always kind of a reader as a kid. So I think my mom just happened to see like soft cover Sorcerer's Stone at the store one time and just like bought it and brought it home, thinking I might like it. So of course I devoured it. And then I think like the first 3 were out. So then I got the rest and then kind of caught up and been a fan ever since.
Cool. Soft cover. So you, what year do you think that was?
Probably 99 or 2000, probably around there.
Yeah. For me, and I think I've told this story before. I can't remember the year, but it was 4th grade that my teacher read Sorcerer's Stone to us in class, which just pretty amazing that she would read the Harry Potter to the entire class. And once she finished, I still remember walking into Borders at the time and seeing Chamber of Secrets right at the front of the store, because I guess it had just come out. And I was like, oh, well, okay, Mom, buy this for me.
Yeah.
And then I read that one on my own. And then, of course, Mike and Eric, they came in a few years later. But we wanted to hear from patrons about when they discovered the Harry Potter series in honor of this major anniversary. And we said, don't write us, call us. And we have a few voicemails here. We've got some funny stories. We're going to play every voicemail that we received. We're going to play a few of them now and then the rest of them at the end of the show so that everybody can enjoy hearing these stories, thinking about the early days. So here's the first one.
Hey guys, this is Philip down in South Florida, and I just want to leave you a message and tell you how I got into Harry Potter. For December 1999, my then boyfriend, now husband, had heard a story on NPR about this author, J.K. Rowling, and a book series she was writing about a boy wizard. So he thought it'd be something I was interested in, bought me the book for Christmas. About a month later, we were on a cruise. I brought the book with me. I read the book 3 times, cover to cover, while we were on the ship. I was totally hooked after the first chapter. We got off the ship. I immediately went to Barnes & Noble, bought Chamber of Secrets, bought Prisoner of Azkaban, and for me, the rest was history. We live in Florida. We travel to Universal, to the Wizarding World, at least 6 times a year. I read each book 100 times a piece, easily. We have 2 cats, the Black Brothers, Sirius and Regulus. And I am one of your older listeners, the Nicholas Flamel of your patrons, probably. And at an age where most people are sending their kids off to college, I actually got my first tattoo, and it is a Harry Potter-themed tattoo. So for better or for worse, my Potter obsession started with him, and I think it was always for the better. So thanks, guys, and keep up the good work. Bye.
I just love that he read it 3 times on the cruise ship.
I love the idea of like, and I remember having that something similar where it's just like when you're so hooked on Harry that if you're on like a family trip or whatever, you pay no attention to your family.
Yeah, it's kind of
depending on when they came out, you're just completely non-distractible for like days.
Yeah. And then he's so desperate to get the next 2 books that he just has to read the first one again to hold him over until he's off the ship. He should have went to medical and said, I have a medical emergency. I need to be choppered off of this ship.
Pull her into port. Pull her into port. We need a book.
Turn this ship around. I gotta go get books 2 and 3. All right, here's the next voicemail.
Hi, guys. Andrea from San Antonio, Texas here. So I was a little older when I first read Harry Potter, and it did kick off my love for reading. In the fall of 2000, I was 21 years old and doing some babysitting nanny work, and one of my families I was taking care of was reading the first Harry Potter out loud at night. So a few times I was the one to read to the kids. The book caught my attention, so I went out and bought it for myself. I devoured the first few books that were out at the time. I just fell in love with the series and with reading in general. Now I still have a great love of all things Harry Potter and reading. I was never a big reader growing up. I didn't enjoy being told what to read in high school, and now my bookshelves are full. Books are a big part of my life in a way that they were not before Harry Potter, and because of this, the series holds a special place in my heart. Thank you, Andrew, Eric, and Micah, for your dedication to Harry Potter and keeping MuggleCast going. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Andrea. That's something that we haven't spoken about in a while, just the fact that Harry Potter really gave people a love of reading.
Yeah.
Or else they never would have had that. Next one.
Hi, this is Alana answering your Patreon question of the week. When I was about 8, my mom was tired of me constantly rereading the same books, so she made me read Harry Potter. I was very hesitant at first, but fell in love with it, and she regrets every day getting me into it because I am so obsessed now. For a little bit, I fell out of interest, and now it's a huge part of my life, and I love it, and have a lot of Harry Potter memorabilia.
Daughter, you're reading these other books too much. Please stop. Here's a new one. Okay. Reads new one. Becomes obsessed. And mom regrets it. We need to call her mom and sort this out.
It's her mom, Laura
There's
Mallory.
nothing we can't handle.
It's her mom, Laura Mallory. I don't know. We should call and ask.
God.
When was the last time we called her?
How's she doing? Okay.
Hey, so this is the answer for the How Did I Discover Harry Potter. Basically, I got grounded for sneaking out of the house and had to read Harry Potter to my littlest sister, who's 7 years younger than me. After my punishment was over, obviously, I continued to do it, and then Harry Potter became something that we did together.
So she was punished into reading Harry Potter. Bad child. You must read Harry Potter to your sister. Oh, wait. I love this. Why was this a punishment? That's a new one. We haven't heard something like that before.
Hey, everyone. This is Stephanie calling in from Oregon, and I'm calling about the first time I discovered Harry Potter. And I distinctly have this flash memory of being in 4th grade and having a girl sit down in front of me in class, and I will never forget her as this part of my life. Her name is Molly. And she sat down with the thickest book I've ever seen. And I remember just being so taken aback and thinking, God, what a nerd. And it was Goblet of Fire that she had. I got curious on my own time, checked out the first 4 books, and then I became a huge nerd because I decided to walk around with all 4 of them at the same time just to let everybody know what playing field we were on and that I was now number 1 nerd. So huge part of my life just by seeing somebody have it in class and being impressed that someone at the age of 9 could read that much stuff. So thanks for everything. Keep up the great work. Bye.
I love that. It was kind of insane to see a fellow student carry around such a large book like Goblet of Fire. I mean, I'm not sure I would have considered them a nerd. I would have considered them like, whoa, they mean business.
Goblet of Fire hardcover was heavy.
Yeah.
For me to pick up when I first picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Very heavy.
Yeah, and imagine a 4th grader doing it.
Yeah, I was in 7th grade and it was tough for me.
Did people call you a nerd? Do you remember?
No, this was the time before I was actually into them, but I was so intimidated that I picked it up and tried to read it and I couldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's see. I think I have one more here.
Hi, my name is Kathy. I discovered Harry Potter in 1999 when my mother, a librarian, mentioned that there was this extremely popular book being discussed on all of her online librarian chat rooms. She got the book, loved it, and passed it on to me. Now I'm passing it on to my kids. Thanks.
All the librarians are talking about it. It's the hot activity on the librarian chat rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Those must have been very not safe for work, I imagine. So the librarians beat like all the kids to the chat rooms, I think. The concept of a chat room.
Oh, yeah. We always hear of, this is how this is how the word spread. Even before it was published in America, American librarians were hearing about this. And we've had listeners write in before saying like their parents were, or their mom was like, worked at the library and got it first and all that kind of stuff. The rumor spread. We probably owe librarians a great debt for
thank you, librarians,
being the original hype men.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks to everybody who called in. We're going to play the rest of the voicemails at the very end of the show. We wanted to get everybody's voices on, so stay tuned for that. More fun stories to come. Before we get to our Crimes of Grindelwald Set Report coverage, it's time to hear from our sponsor.
Yeah, Andrew. Today's episode is being brought to you by Puffs. For 7 years, a certain boy wizard went to a certain wizard school and conquered evil. This, however, is not his story. This is the story of the Puffs, who just happened to be there too. A tale for anyone who has never been destined to save the world. Now playing off-Broadway in New York City at New World Stages, the critically acclaimed play Puffs gives you a new look at a familiar adventure from the perspective of 3 potential heroes just trying to make it through a magic school that proves to be very dangerous for children. Their epic journey takes the classic story to new places and reimagines what a boy wizard hero can be. Now, I had the opportunity, I don't even know how long ago it was at this point, but to go see Puffs off-Broadway, and I can tell you from experience, you will laugh from start to finish. It is just for the, I would say, passionate Potter fan. I don't know if just going in there, maybe if you've never read Potter before, it could be a little challenging to catch on to some of the innuendos that are there. Eric, I know you've seen it as well, but
I agree with that.
Well, think of our audience. I think most people here are expert Harry Potter fans.
That is true. Much more expert than I am anyway. So I think that it is something that if you're in New York, whether you're visiting a friend, you're on vacation, this is just a must-do. It's just something that you're going to enjoy if you are a fan of the Harry Potter series. And I know there are just moments, I don't want to spoil anything, but just that you will laugh your head off at. So I highly recommend that people go see it if they are in town. And of course, Puffs is offering a special ticket price for MuggleCast listeners. All you have to do is visit puffstheplay.com/MuggleCast to learn more, and you'll get a special ticket price for the show here in New York City. So just head on over to puffstheplay.com/MuggleCast, get your special ticket offer, and let us know what you think of the play.
It's very affordable as is, and then we're making it even more affordable. So I'm very excited about that. Thanks, Puffs. All right, so let's talk about this Crimes of Grindelwald Set Report. There was so much information in it that we thought we would dedicate a good chunk of an episode to it and skip chapter by chapter, because it's going to take a good bit of time. That said, we want to issue a spoiler warning, because, Micah, I think you especially were concerned that some of this info, it does feel spoilery, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I would just also keep in mind that Warner Brothers was okay with this information getting out. So I don't think it necessarily is anything that's like particularly crucial to the plot that, you'll see in the theater and like, oh, damn, I was already spoiled. That sucks.
Well, the thing of it is, it really answers some of the questions we had going off of our trailer analysis. What certain characters are doing in certain places, what brings them there, what their motivations are. We find out a lot of that stuff, and I think that's what feels the most spoiler to me, is going in before I've even seen this character on screen, I'm going to know where they're coming from, why they're there, what they want out of this film. And it's just kind of the broad view that's given in these set reports, as well as other locations that weren't even in the trailers, are all revealed. The info was embargoed, but only till last month, and so it's like 3 months before the film comes out. This is the point where everyone should be on their guard, constant vigilance about trailers and interviews and things beginning to cross the line between we are advertising this film and into we are explaining this film.
Because we are in a unique situation. We never really had this problem with Harry Potter, did we? We knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So this is kind of new territory, come to think of it, for this fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no book to guide you beforehand. So I agree. There's a lot of information that's been released that I'm quite honestly surprised about. And really the center of all of this is that everybody seems to be looking for Credence. And that's surprising to me only because we weren't entirely sure what happened to him at the end of the last film. So to then kind of throw him center stage and make it really all about finding him and his story, that seems a bit different to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if she always knew the film was heading or the story was heading this way, maybe his death could have been a little less or a little bit less ambiguous, or the end of his arc in the first movie, because it was only a movie or 5 minutes of screen time ago when he was blown to smithereens, and little wisp of smoke might have been spotted floating away, but you just don't really know for sure. And how the heck do all these characters know that he's still alive? It's going to be a big question.
So, Matt, I mean, first off, are you a Fantastic Beasts fan, and are you kind of surprised by how much information's been put out there so far?
I really like the Fantastic Beasts one, but yeah, I kind of agree that, I mean, I guess it depends on how much actually is in the movie, but it does seem like they are releasing quite a bit. But I mean, in the interviews and things, it did kind of seem like they were kind of avoiding certain questions and answers type thing. So maybe this is just kind of an intro and there's more to kind of dig into.
I wouldn't worry about it personally. I don't think this is like, a horrible amount of information being dumped. But let's get into it.
So I think there's no surprise that most of the plot is going to be taking place in Paris. We got that feeling from very early on, and it said there'll be many sort of real and recognizable locations, including the Eiffel Tower, Place de la Concorde, which is a major public square where Tina, Newt, and Jacob are apparently going to be reunited with each other. And then Père Lachaise Cemetery, which I think initially, didn't we think that the cemetery that we saw Newt and Theseus in was going to be in London, but maybe it's actually going to be in Paris.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that would be a safe guess.
I think it was it's either David Heyman or David Yates said that it was that cemetery, and beneath it is that grand amphitheater that we saw in the trailer so far, where Grindelwald is amassing followers through his speeches.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of put a place to it. It's almost like the amphitheater in the Ministry of Magic, how it's underground and, sort of old, ancient, that kind of thing, is underneath his cemetery in Paris.
Wait. Like it's directly underneath the cemetery?
That's what I'll find the exact quote from David Heyman, but yeah.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, who builds an amphitheater underneath a cemetery? You have the dead people in the ground, and then below the dead people is the amphitheater?
Well, maybe it's all a facade, but also magic.
I'm starting to think Grindelwald's a creep.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have it under like a nursery, but Harry Potter has also made nurseries creepy with the Nagini scene.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter making everything extra creepy.
And on top of the amphitheater, not literally on top of the amphitheater, probably even further down than the amphitheater, the infamous, I didn't know Parisian sewers were infamous, but apparently they're infamous. It's going to set the scene for Newt to track down the mysterious Yusuf Kama. And my guy Yusuf, I know we've talked a lot about him on the show. I think this confirms that it was in fact him who was looking at the family history of Lita and Credence on the sewer wall. We see this scene very briefly in the trailer, but we were wondering, who is it? Because it's very ambiguous who's staring at this wall. Is it perhaps Dumbledore? Is it somebody else? But I think we actually did an episode a little while back where we thought it could in fact be Yusuf, and I think this all but confirms that.
I have an important question. What came first, the sewer network or the cemetery? Is the sewer network built around the cemetery?
I don't know, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
I need to know.
You're asking the impossible question.
This is tough. I think J.K. Rowling needs to spread out her locations a little bit more.
Perhaps she does.
Too many characters, too many settings on top of each other. But yeah, I think that that definitely looked like a sewer. We don't know if that was Yusuf. I think when we were speculating, we may have been thinking it was Grindelwald, but it was just hard to tell with the lighting and just seeing somebody's back. But they were wearing a hat, and Yusuf was wearing a hat, wasn't he? So
He was.
Okay. The hat confirms it.
But a little bit later on, I think it's worth bringing up since we're talking about Yusuf. Yusuf is also in search of Credence.
Okay, for what reason?
This is answered sort of. I wrote it down.
So he is, if you look at the new faces section of the MuggleNet Set Report, he's a French African wizard who claims to be the last male in his pureblood family line, and he's tracked down Credence to Paris. Apparently, he's been looking for Credence for years. We'll have to wait to find out why. And again, there was a lot of speculation, given all the different names that were on that sewer wall, that Yusuf is in fact Lita Lestrange's uncle, whose sister was married to Corvus Lestrange. So there is sort of a distant relation between Yusuf and Credence.
Okay.
So they're family. They're looking for each other. Well, at least Yusuf is looking for Credence.
Furthermore, Heyman says, Kama is a great character. He's someone who's come in search of answers. And I can't tell you what those answers are or what the questions are, but he is a person with a wound, an emotional wound that he is trying to find answers for. So it would seem that Yusuf has emotional stakes in tracking down Credence.
Okay.
Yeah, and furthermore, it was Sudan, which is in northern Africa, where Newt first encountered the other Obscurus that we've heard of, the Obscurial, the girl who died when he tried to extract the Obscurus and kept it in his case in the first Fantastic Beasts film. And so the idea that Yusuf may be hailing from those parts could also give some potential insight to his emotional wounds. Like, it would be odd for him to be related to the girl that Newt attempted to save and Lita, which I think it's a lot clearer that he's related to Lita, but you just never quite know with J.K. Rowling and the tale she's weaving.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm. So we're those who went to the actual set, they're introduced to Paris and really Paris's form of what it sounds like to be Diagon Alley. They were walking along the cobbled street, and they were treated to an eclectic range of new wizarding shops. K. Ramel's Enchanté, a colorful sweet shop. Monsieur Saffin's Chaudrons, bursting with bronze cauldrons. I'm trying to do my best French here.
Yeah, this is impressive.
Since I'm going from Southern Hagrid to I don't know what.
French.
And then Cosmic Akajor's Wand Shop, which was established in 1614.
Okay.
So we have the equivalent of Ollivander here in this Parisian Diagon Alley.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Coming soon to Wizarding World Paris, the new theme park. Paris Diagon Alley. I just can't believe J.K. Rowling makes all this stuff up. I mean, this is just so crazy.
You could tell she's just having fun with some of these names.
It's just so much detail. Like, my God, presumably she's making up even the names of these shops. Maybe not, though. Maybe not, actually.
She does.
But
she
like,
speaks French, I think.
if she's writing a scene involving a particular store, okay, I can see her doing that. But then, like, some of these background shops that they're seeing, like these people who visited the set, they're getting time to look at the details, stuff that we might not actually see in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm talking myself out of J.K. Rowling actually coming up with all these things.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't even know how much these shops will actually play a role, if at all, into the films themselves. Though it is also mentioned that there was a big tent at the end of this street, and that led those that were on set to believe that this was the setting for Circus Arcanus.
Oh, that makes sense.
So when the beast escapes and people are, running out of the way from it, it's actually only impacting wizards, which is super useful.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of a big bank at the end of their cobbled street, they have fairgrounds for a circus to come in.
Right. Or maybe just the circus is blocking their bank for the time being.
I guess so.
Maybe their bank is underground in a big amphitheater beneath the cemetery.
All right. Well, speaking of Circus Arcanus, Credence, which we speculated for a long time, does join the circus, and he's come to Paris in search of his birth mother. So there's a lot of searching going on.
Spoiler!
It seems like everybody's looking... What's that?
Spoiler!
Oh, yeah. Huge spoiler alert.
Searching...
I don't know how he knows to go to Paris in the first place.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah, what causes that? Losing fake mom after the events of the first Fantastic Beasts?
Perhaps. He has to do some sort of research. There has to be some sort of... I don't know. They got to give us some insight there.
Well, maybe he knew where his real mom, his birth mother, was, but he found no reason to go and search for her because he's got this mom over in America. And now that she's gone, he's like, oh, maybe I should go find my birth mother. Maybe she'll treat me better.
It had to be something in his childhood. Maybe he recalls seeing a strange woman or a strange guy who...
No pun intended.
Yeah, strange. Maybe he saw a strange guy or a strange girl who said to him, like, I don't know, made a comment, and it is now playing in his mind as being ominous or something. But I think it would be weird if it was never revealed, but I think that maybe he'll be telling the Maledictus as we watch him grow to confide and trust in this other person he finds, played by Claudia Kim. No, wait, yes.
Yeah.
To really kind of figure out why he thought to go to Paris. Because it's just, you're right, Mike, like everyone is converging on Paris.
And then speaking of that, Tina is on an quote-unquote unauthorized mission to track down Credence. And that's why she ends up in Paris. And then finally, Jacob is initially brought to London by Queenie, but has no recollection of how he got there, which is a little unsettling. I'm in a new country.
I feel like something's missing here, though, with these two, like, because she gets upset and then she takes off, but then Jacob apparently remembers Newt and finds out that Newt is in Paris, so he's going to go to Paris. Like, I feel there's missing information here, though. I just don't understand. How would he not remember Queenie but remember Newt?
Because maybe he's more into Newt than Queenie.
Yeah.
I didn't get that sense, but who knows?
It is heartbreaking a little bit, and we've speculated whether or not Queenie's going over to the dark side. I would say that is about 85% very likely at this point, because I think it's said somewhere else in this set report that she brings Jacob over because she wants to be with him, but the American, sort of Muggle position, the nomage tolerance thing, is not what it is in the UK. So she relocates Jacob. First of all, does he want to be away from his bakery? Who's running the shop? Is it his assistant? What happens with that?
This is
Second,
ex-wife.
I'm really concerned about the bake. These are the hard pressing questions that I bring to the sequel. Don't at me. But no, he is whisked away so that he can have a better life with Queenie. and she did that, but then something that he thinks upsets her. Like, he's just confused and hurt because he literally does not remember, and something he thinks sends her off. She leaves in tears, it is said. And it's she's holding him, against him, something that he's thinking. It's not what he's saying, it's what he's thinking. So she's getting all in her head about this whole thing, and he's sort of stranded without her. She brings him all the way to London, which is not all the way to Paris, but it's half the way, to, get lost, and then he remembers Newt somehow. I agree there's a lot of questions, but
Matt,
it's sort of a heartbreaking beginning to their arc in this film.
Matt, there are so many questions, and I've previously complained about, I've previously shared my concern about it growing too big. How are you feeling about this second movie? Does it feel like it's a little out of control with all the plot lines?
It does kind of seem like a lot of, just all the stuff they're going to have to show, kind of like we said, are they going to show like how people get there? Because that could be like half the movie is everyone getting to Paris, because you have so many different players kind of coming together. So
yeah,
it does feel like kind of like a lot.
Maybe it's just because we analyze it so much on this show that I'm just feeling overwhelmed. Like, maybe we should just stick with exactly what we see in the movie. No interviews, no set reports, no companion books. It's too much extra info. I'm starting to
just chapter by chapter. That's all we're doing from now until the movie actually gets into theaters.
Yeah, this is starting to feel like Westworld to me. Like, I watch Westworld, but I don't know what's happening in Westworld. I'm looking at all this information, but I don't know what it all means.
It definitely feels like 2 movies worth of content to me.
Well, good thing we have 5, and I'm still saying that I think J.K. Rowling might add another movie or 2 to the series.
Yeah,
it's possible.
It would not be beyond her.
Or just split the last movie into 3.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Warner Brothers would complain about a few additional films.
Oh, hell no. God, they're probably calling her every day asking, are you sure? Are you sure we can't do 8?
Isn't 8 the most magically money-making number?
So, J.K. Rowling, we saw Crimes of Grindelwald. There is a lot here. We're going to have to cut it into 2 movies. I'm sorry.
The Niffler needs his own spinoff.
Yeah, oh God.
Niffler, a wizarding story.
He needs his own, like, Dora the Explorer type TV series. That's how the Wizarding World's going to come to TV. We have a lot of great stuff to get to today. But first, a word from this week's sponsor. They are my favorite luggage company. I cannot imagine not having their luggage now. They are Away. They created the perfect suitcase. When you're looking for a suitcase, you're looking for something lightweight, that has 4 wheels on it so it rolls nice and easily, that has a smart interior for optimal packing, and you're looking for something that looks good. Away created that suitcase and they added features you didn't know you needed. First of all their suitcases, they are made with premium German polycarbonate, unrivaled in strength and impact resistance, and very lightweight. The interior features a patent-pending compression system, helpful for overpackers like me, and I'm sure many of you. When you put your clothes in there, you have some bands that you can pull to smush all your clothes down. It tightens everything up so you can fit more in your suitcase without it being impossible to zipper. It's amazing. I use this every time that I pack. The suitcase also features 4 360-degree spinner wheels, so it is a smooth ride when you're taking it on the road. I mean, in the airport, on the street, it is easy to move around. It has a combination lock. It has a removable, washable laundry bag. How often are you looking for a laundry bag? It includes one of those. And there's one more feature that I absolutely love. Both sizes of the carry-on have a USB battery built in. So while you're on the move, you can charge your phone, your tablet, your e-reader, and anything else that's powered by USB cord. A single charge of the Away carry-on will charge your phone 5 times. This is so helpful while traveling. This is also a smart buy that will leave you with peace of mind. It comes with a lifetime warranty, a 100-day trial, free shipping, and the carry-on sizes are compliant with all major airlines. I have not had a problem putting this on any plane, and I travel on many planes. I want you to get one of these, and I'm going to get you a discount. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/MuggleCast and use promo code MuggleCast during checkout. Again, for $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/MuggleCast and use promo code MuggleCast during checkout. Please try this. You are going to love it. All right, so let's move on to this next subject.
This is, I added this in here. This is really interesting. We've heard, or it was revealed, I think, in advance of this set report that David Yates kind of compared this to a film noir detective, sort of like a 30s detective film. In particular, he referenced a movie called The Third Man, which was apparently a heavy inspiration for this film in general in terms of tone, setting, lighting, and I'm going to definitely check it out. It's a 1949 British film noir with Orson Welles. Anyway, what we didn't hear was that this film apparently also has a lot of sex or sensuality. Here's a question from the David Yates interview. The press asks, talking about not repeating yourself and breaking new ground with this film, what have you done on this movie that you'd never done before as a filmmaker? And David Yates, who, as a reminder, directed Movie 6, Movie 5, Movie 7, Movie 8, and the first Fantastic Beasts, he says, well, in terms of the context of Joe's universe, this is a much more sensual film. We really didn't have sensuality or sexuality in any of the Potters or even the first Fantastic Beasts. We had these grown-ups, but ultimately these grown-ups are really like big kids in a grown-up world. This is a slightly more sensual film because it is a love story. There's a sense of sensuality between the characters, which is lovely, actually. It feels like everything's growing up and getting a bit more sophisticated. This is a little bit more political with a small p than perhaps the others. And what we've done more than any of the others is, this is very much sort of multi-character narrative. So we're following a lot of characters all at the same time, and it's a series of couplets. It's a series of love stories, really. It's a series of people. And really the central theme is falling in love, falling out of love, falling in love with an ideology, being drawn into love, being corrupted by love. It all circles around that central premise of love, I think.
So, are we watching characters have sex? What does this mean?
No explicitly gay Dumbledore, remember? It's heartbreaking to think maybe Queenie and Tina, or Queenie and Jacob are the ones who are going to be falling out of love, and Queenie might be the one who's corrupted by love or falling in love with an ideology. At least half of these things that David Yates just said, I think, probably apply to the poor Jacob storyline.
I can see Jacob and Queenie doing the deed within the next two movies. Mark my words. I just don't know why else he's bringing this up.
Well, talking about couplets, though, it kind of explains the structure of the film. Like, we remarked in the past on the trailer discussion how there's no shot of all four of our heroes together, which there's got to be dozens in the first film.
Right.
So they're very much couplets, meaning like two, just a bunch of poetic pairings. We know that Newt and Jacob are going to be together. It looks like maybe Queenie and Grindelwald. But Credence and the Maledictus, these people are going to be falling in love with each other, and the story of the film is going to be told through all the different characters versus having all of them working together for one single goal. You're going to see a lot of people in a lot of different areas off doing their own thing.
Yeah, but I just find it interesting, this one line, we didn't have sensuality or sexuality in any of the Potters or even the first Fantastic Beasts. He doesn't say any of the Fantastic Beasts so far. Like, he's excluding the second Fantastic Beast, which suggests to me it could actually get a little sexual.
I mean, I thought Half-Blood Prince did a good job with the romance angle, but he's saying that this is sensual in a way that the other films just weren't. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm interested.
Are you sure though? Because that scene between the Rumpet and Jacob, I could have gotten pretty nasty.
Whoa. That's called Fantastic Bestiality. And where to see it?
I'm sure that exists somewhere online. I'm sure there's a what they used to call those?
Podcast. First there was Potterotica, now there's Fantastic Bestiality.
I will say the Rumpet does look at Jacob kind of sensually. I would agree.
Yeah, you probably just gave Potterotica a whole new set of ideas for what they can do leading up to Fantastic.
The Rumpet is looking at Jacob because he wants to eat Jacob. And or his baked goods.
Okay. And by his baked goods, you mean what?
I mean his bread that he bakes in a store.
Let's talk
about Grindelwald.
let's discuss the sensual equivalent of a cold shower, Grindelwald.
Wow. All right. So no surprise here that he does escape. We talked about this at the beginning of the film. Looks like it's going to be a transfer, sort of an extradition of him back to Europe. He will escape with the assistance of Abernathy, who apparently, maybe he just really likes the ideology, going back to what you just talked about, Eric, of what Grindelwald has to offer.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, here's immediate. Yeah.
That's the thing about this series. That's what they've been saying. We're going to see people diverging in ways we may not have expected. Abernathy was not necessarily a very big character, but he's definitely somebody who you could have imagined on the fence.
He's a mediocre man and, probably a mediocre wizard, just based on only how easily Queenie kind of makes him uncomfortable and tricks him and gets away in the first film. But he's somebody who Grindelwald could really promise, greatness, and he'd be like, "Oh, good gravy, I'm into that." So I see him doing it for the power and the prestige.
Definitely, and he's on a mission, just like everybody else is, to find Credence, and that brings him to Paris. And Dumbledore says that this is going to be his new base of operations. So it seems like everybody is converging on Paris, either for Credence or for Grindelwald or for a combination of the two of them. So there's also a mention of something that was seen in the art department. It was a particularly alarming concept drawing of Nurmengard, a spacious, high-ceilinged room with large windows overlooking a cliff top, and in the bottom right-hand corner, the backs of Grindelwald and Queenie are seen.
Mm-hmm.
Could Queenie's affiliation to Jacob make her seek more visibility for the wizarding community, or could her presence at Nurmengard be under false pretenses?
Who is that? You're quoting the MuggleNet set report there?
That is the MuggleNet set report asking both of those questions, yeah.
What do you think, Matt?
I think we kind of saw in the first Fantastic Beasts movie, Grindelwald's very adept at manipulating people. He kind of did it with Credence to kind of learn more about the Obscurus and that. So I think, if Queenie's kind of vulnerable, he probably is able to kind of tell her what she wants to hear to kind of convince her to join him, so maybe she can be with Jacob.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I really like this argument that MuggleNet is making about Queenie wanting to bring Jacob into or wanting to improve relations for the sake of their own relationship.
This mention of Nurmengard is terrifying. If I'm remembering correctly, Nurmengard was originally developed by Grindelwald. He ends up in a prison that he himself designed, and it was for his opponents that he built it. So people...
Oh, shucks.
So I think, if we're going to Germany next, which is not confirmed at all, but you might want to look up that old tweet with J.K. Rowling and writing in different languages. If we ever go to Nurmengard, we're going to find... I think our heroes are going to be pretty much imprisoned there for a period of time in these films, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe only Queenie can get them out.
Maybe. Yeah, it's definitely disturbing, as they said, that those two would be standing next to each other. But these next couple of sections, I think, are fun to go through because we get a look into some different props, some beasts that are going to be featured in the next film. One of which, really quickly, was called the Magic Lung. And it's an oddly shaped vacuum with many more extensions that will apparently have a starring role inside the British Ministry of Magic. And according to the set report, this was initially developed by Stuart Craig and was cut from a previous Potter film. So that's the only reason why I included it in this discussion.
In the Weasley house? Seems like something Molly would like to have.
I think Yates says that too. When you see it, it looks like we're at the Burrow, but we're at the Ministry. It was developed to be like one of those weird things that's just happening. And I think in this film, it's used as like comic relief. Like it's vacuuming the floor at the Ministry, but I think it said somewhere in these set reports that I think it starts sucking up people by accident. or something crazy like that. So it's going to be a thing that like looks like it fits in. I don't think it's going to look like it fits in, but it's going to be there for comic relief.
Right. Yeah. So the other thing it tells you is that you're going to be at the British Ministry of Magic, which we, didn't get to see in the first film. Obviously, we've seen it in the Potter films, but there's also one of the things that they saw on set was a piece of parchment coming out of a dictograph machine. And it's from what they could read, ministerial hearing number 2891 for one Newt Scamander. So apparently Newt's still in trouble. It continued by listing the attendees. In addition to Newt, there was Theseus Scamander, head of British Auror Office, Torquil Travers, head of Magical Law Enforcement, Rudolph Spielman, head of Incarceration, International Confederation of Wizards, and Arnold Guzman, U.S. emissary to International Confederation of Wizards. So is he still answering for what happened back in New York? Has he done something else that's required him to come before the ministry? What do you guys think?
I wonder if it's almost like a extradition type thing where he did all this stuff and then the McHughes's like, well, we'll just send him to the British ministry and they can take care of him or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Could the fact that Grindelwald broke out have something to do with it? Could it?
That might be it.
Like, oh, you saved the day, but he broke out, so we're mad at you again.
We're gonna have to call you back in. Yeah, it might be like a debrief, like the wizarding government wants to know everything that he can tell them about what he knows.
Oh, could it maybe have something to do with Dumbledore's assignment for him? What is Dumbledore making you do, Newt?
Yeah, maybe.
I can't say. Sorry. Check out my green picket.
Yeah, that certainly could be a possibility because we do see a bit of an interrogation of Dumbledore in one of the trailers, right?
Right. They try to find out. Aren't they trying to ask what Newt's up to?
Oh yeah.
And then Dumbledore says Newt can't be controlled or whatever, something to that effect. So then maybe they go after Newt himself with this paperwork.
Yeah. And then the Sorcerer's Stone. This was brought up because apparently they had to make a bunch of them because the original is on display at the studio tour. And I guess they couldn't just go and borrow it for a couple of weeks. I don't know.
So were people getting upset that it was missing, wanting their money back? So they were like, oh, okay, we got to keep it there.
This worries me that they had to make a bunch of them. Why? You just need at most you need one, and it just needs to sit because unless these characters are going to be throwing it around and I don't know playing hot potato with it, you shouldn't need more than a couple. The weirder thing too, Pierre Bohanna, who is the prop modeler. HOD prop modeler is his title. Talked about a silver stand, like a pedestal that the stone sits on that he had to make. And it's like 3D imaged, and they kind of had to construct it. He goes into it in the specific Muggle interview with him. But I think it's a silver stand. It's made of silver, and it holds the Sorcerer's Stone. So we've moved on from the grubby little package and the little wrapping paper. And now the Sorcerer's Stone is going to be, on display probably in his home, in Flamel's home.
Available at Pottery Barn for $500.
With a complimentary engraved raven on the side of it for Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Well, now at least if you go to the studio tour, and I'm not endorsing this in any way, you can easily just take the Sorcerer's Stone because they have so many.
They have so many. That wasn't what I was going to say. I was going to say now it's the real one that was actually in the film because they couldn't even borrow it.
That's actually the first thing that I thought of was that you at least know that there's authenticity to what is in the studio tour if they had to go ahead and make a bunch more for this film.
I seem to remember something going missing from the small Harry Potter studio tour in Los Angeles when they were filming Deathly Hallows. I can't remember what it was, but I think they just put a sign up in its place and was like, hey, we need this for filming right now. It'll be back. They could have just done that.
Yep.
I don't know.
So one other place that they did get a chance to go on the set report was to the French ministry, and it is an amazing place to visit, apparently, just given what we saw in the trailer, all the beasts up on the sort of that domed roof. And it's interesting to kind of speculate why exactly the French ministry would have these beasts, unless it's just kind of similar to our nighttime sky. Like, you know, how we have all these different constellations. Maybe there's a Niffler constellation, or, you know what I'm saying?
It just seems
I'm trying to figure out why they would feature them in that way.
It seems too on the nose to me for this film series.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's Fantastic Beasts movie, and what are we going to do for the decor in French Ministry of Magic? Put Fantastic Beasts in it. Yay.
The whole thing is some of these beasts aren't supposed to be so well known that they're on a roof in a main government building, right? Like, Newt is the one who's going around painstakingly introducing these beasts to the world. Maybe the French are just really big fans of Newt's book, and in a day they're like, we're going to redesign this whole atrium, and maybe they have Niffler fever.
Or maybe this is a stupid excuse, and this is surely not what's happening, but maybe they like celebrating new books. So, it's release week for Newt's book, so let's put up art of all these different beasts. Oh, there's a cooking book out next week. Let's put up pictures of spoons and pots and vacuums. Oh, Lockhart's book is out. Let's put pictures of him traveling around the world. Yeah, or maybe there's like a signing event for Newt at the ministry, because you know how bookstores will like decorate for their special event.
Yeah, my favorite theory is still that they're constellations, but how many people really know of a Murtlap? You know, like,
and it's still too on the nose.
Yeah, it's a bit convenient.
Yep, I agree. But one other area of the ministry that definitely is of interest to us is the Ancestral archives. They're these rows of tall green and gold cabinets with narrow, individually numbered drawers, as was seen in the latest trailer. So do you guys think that this also lends itself to the fact that maybe Newt and Tina are also looking into Credence's past?
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of a couple of action sequences in the trailer when we see Newt and Tina and a couple others, I can't remember who, maybe Jacob, like on these giant objects that are moving rapidly, kind of like the doors in Monsters, Inc. It reminded me of that.
Oh, I love that visual.
Yeah. So I was thinking it might have something to do with the characters going deep down into those archives.
Mm-hmm. But how deep down would they need to go? Credence is 17 years old, for crying out loud. Like, you know, if his direct parent was Lestrange, you really don't need to go that far back to be like, oh God, guys, you know.
Maybe they're going into Nicholas Flamel's history.
There you go.
Perhaps. Yeah, it's definitely from that trailer, though, Andrew, to your point, there's that shot of them kind of holding on to the bars, and there's a little number that's shown. So, again, there just seems to be a lot of focus on Credence for this film. And then we do find out finally what those ugly cats were that we saw
ugly
in the trailer. Oh, well,
I'm offended.
Velvety, how about that?
Velvety, sure.
They are Madagos or Madagots, I guess, depending on how you pronounce it. And it's a spirit that is familiar somewhat, resembling a hairless Sphinx cat, which we know. And then in France, they're utilized by the Ministry of Magic to do menial jobs, including staffing the mailroom and providing security for various other departments. Madagots won't attack unless provoked, but then will transform into something far more menacing. I mean, they're already pretty ugly. Like, what are they going to turn into?
This reminds me of the library ghost at the beginning of Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Why are they in the mailroom? Like, if these felines don't have thumbs, what is this?
Sniffing for anthrax?
Oh, there you go. Andrew solved it.
I just don't see them as doing menial jobs.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. I think it's a cool idea, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a profound lack of imagination on my part right now, but I think that it is interesting that the French ministry wouldn't be staffed primarily with French wizards and witches, that these, this sort of force of cats, this force of feline familiars is providing not only menial tasks, but security as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's a little foreboding that there's, fewer governments, like that they wouldn't just have more people around, that they're relying on this force of beasts. And I wonder what Newt's opinion of that would be. Clearly he knew this, because clearly it's well known that the French ministry runs this way. How does Newt feel about the fact that these Madagos are being
used for work?
Yeah.
Like house elves.
Yeah.
Probably not good.
I mean, it's not necessarily worse than what he does with the swooping evil, using it as a weapon to attack people and escape. But it's, there's a line there, and I'm interested in seeing, hopefully that gets brought up.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, we can talk about the beasts for a few minutes here. The augury we've already talked about at length. The Zoo, though, it was confirmed in the set report that he is captured by Skender, who is the ringmaster of Circus Arcanus, and really does bear the scars of the abuse that he has received. So it sounds like Newt is going to try and do a bit of a rescue mission here.
Okay, so we still get that beast angle in this movie. Are you happy, Eric?
I'm pretty happy.
Okay. I mean, that's all we can ask for.
Although, Skender is probably a formidable wizard if he caught the Zoo to begin with, which worries me. So, if they have to face off against Skender, if Skender is, the secret bad guy of this film and it's not Grindelwald or whatever, I worry, because Skender seems to have had at least enough of his faculties to get the beast to begin with.
And then the two other beasts that are mentioned, and I don't think they would have been called attention to in the report, if not featured in the film in some way. One is the fire drake, and the other is a lucrata. And the fire drake is a small flying lizard with long antennae. It could be mistaken for a dragon, except instead of breathing fire, the fire drake emits sparks from the end of its tail that set anything flammable ablaze.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm thinking of that cover again, though, that we saw for the Crimes of Grindelwald screenplay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I think there are dragons, or what look to be like dragons, in the upper corners, right?
Right.
Yes. That would be a cool creature. I'd buy a Funko of that.
I can see Newt, instead of carrying around a lighter, just carrying around a fire drake, pulling on its tail and lighting a cigarette.
Well, I mean, I think there's one thing we probably can all think of that could get set on fire.
Wait.
I don't know.
Dumbledore's beard?
He doesn't have one.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
really.
The tent.
What?
I was thinking the circus.
Oh, yeah, the tent at the circus.
Oh, yeah.
And then the lucrata resembles a large moose with very long, jagged antlers. There's nothing overly unusual about it at first glance until it opens its mouth. Apparently, it has what would seem to be an impossibly huge mouth in respect to its head and face. And they commented, big enough for Newt or his assistant to put their entire head and shoulders in to clean the animal's teeth.
My mouth receives similar descriptions from time to time from people.
Yeah. I just feel like this is going to be a fan favorite. I don't know how much it's actually going to play a role, but just it's going to be a funny scene.
You think this creature is going to resonate with audiences, huh?
100%.
Well, speaking of resonating, I'm sure it's echoey inside this creature's big mouth. Rest in peace, Bunty, who's going to maybe get eaten. Bunty, Newt's assistant, who's in love with him, crawling entirely in the lucrata's mouth to clean the teeth, and was never seen from again. Short-lived.
So we'll wrap it up talking a little bit about the new faces that we can expect to see in the Crimes of Grindelwald. A lot of this, I think, we touched on earlier, particularly with Yusuf and his role, but there was a little bit more information on the Maledictus, and as I think we guessed, she's going to share a very close connection with Credence, and she has a blood curse that will ultimately cause her to be transformed permanently into a beast. her powers are exploited by Skender. So apparently he just abuses everything that's in his circus. And after they escape the circus, this Maledictus is going to help Credence find out his true identity.
So
that's a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, what it sounds like is that one day she will turn into a beast. Like, we're going to see that on screen, and Credence is going to be really upset.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they also listed some of the supporters for Grindelwald. A few last names there that I just highlighted that I think a lot of Potter fans will recognize. The newest being Caro. So if you see any of these characters in the film, Abernathy, Caro, Kraft, Kral, Nagel, and Rosier, you can expect them to be on the side of Grindelwald.
Bad news. Bad news bears.
Do you think that's giving a little bit too much credence, no pun intended, to the Potter series? Though,
Did you just use credence in a sentence correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And in a sentence about bad people?
Well, why the need to include Death Eater names? Why? Yeah, I understand you want to make the connection to Potter, but wouldn't it be...
There's some new ones here. New ones
true.
scattered with old ones. I think it's just enough. What we have.
What if you saw Weasley in there? Wouldn't that be like more shocking than seeing Caro or
yeah, but that wouldn't
another
make
Death
sense.
Eater name that we've seen? What?
That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well,
I would love that, actually, if they refined reversed their positions and ended up being the Muggle-loving family that we know now.
Yeah. This is kind of related. J.K. Rowling said, I'm trying to find the tweet right now, but at one point, like a couple of weeks ago, she was responding to somebody's tweet about Fantastic Beasts, and she was like, you don't even know half of what's coming. Hinting that, like, there are some major surprises connected to Potter.
Yeah, but
J.K. Rowling said that?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the tweet.
I think I saw it too.
No, it's hard for me, though, with all the Trump stuff that he puts out
She
there.
does say a lot.
To keep track.
Tweet a lot.
But if we don't even know half of what's going into this movie...
I know.
How long is this movie?
It's gonna be 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I also took the tweet to me, and she was talking about the series as a whole, not necessarily this upcoming movie. But anyway, so just a final point here. Colleen Atwood, costume designer, she had mentioned that Hogwarts will be seen in 2 time periods.
Yeah, I thought this was a huge revelation when I read it. But it turns out it's not, because you just reminded me, there's that scene where the Ministry officials go and talk to Dumbledore, which is presumably in present day, meaning the 30s. And then there's just the flashback Bogart scene. But she did an interview where she talked about the costumes, of course, and she talks about just the different eras of Hogwarts uniform. And she was asked what was different about them, and she said they were fairly standard. They are a very old design. I sort of took them out of the choir robe thing and did a little bit more trim on them. I did some velvet trim, and then the hoods are house colors inside, and so we did fun things like that. Nothing new in that statement, but what shocked me was there's maybe enough substance at Hogwarts for them to have been, I don't know, enough of a different for 2 eras.
I think we're getting the flashbacks to Baby Newt, and then we're getting the scenes where people come to Dumbledore saying, hey, where's Newt? And Dumbledore says, you can't control him, or whatever that line was in the trailer.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that was in the trailer, so I was like, wait a minute, are we seeing Hogwarts twice in the 30s? David Yates did re-say, or said at some point, that we will be going back to childhood Hogwarts, or Newt's childhood, in the middle of the film for about 10 minutes. That's what he said.
We're going to have to go to Hogwarts in every movie now. This is kind of spoiling us, I feel. Like, I'm going to be disappointed in movies 3 through 8 if we don't go back to Hogwarts.
My hope will be Overmorny. I just want to see it. I just want to see it.
What if an entire Fantastic Beasts movie was set at Hogwarts? That would be so cool. But like a Harry Potter one is, like, you get 90 minutes at Hogwarts or something.
Well, like Newt giving Fawkes to Dumbledore and Newt giving Aragog to Hagrid, and
there you go.
All of that happening at Hogwarts.
Okay, so J.K. Rowling had retweeted a tweet in which we see people's reactions when they're watching the Fantastic Beasts trailer. And she says, I love these reactions so much, and they don't know the half of what's coming. So it does sound like she's referencing this movie, but possibly also the series on whole. Still, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of it was revealed in these set reports. All right, so I think that is it. That was a lot to go through, but it was interesting information. I'm going to try to organize it in my head, but like I said, this is feeling like Westworld to me, where it's just growing and growing and growing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's listen to a couple more voicemails. These do not concern the Sorcerer's Stone anniversary. They're more just general questions, some stuff we've been meaning to catch up on.
Hey, MuggleCast. My name's Susie. I'm a big, long-time Harry Potter fan and only recent listener of the podcast. Anyways, my, theory/question about, I think it was regarding the third chapter of Half-Blood Prince, is, so during that chapter, Harry is reading leaflets from the Ministry of Magic, and I'm wondering about I'm wondering about the speed of the owls and such like that. So in part of the leaflet, it says, if you see Inferi, if you see the Dark Mark, please contact the Ministry of Magic ASAP. But how fast do they expect owls to fly? Do owls apparate? Is there some other method of contact? Because there aren't any phones. Love to hear your thoughts. Bye.
That's a great point. Owls aren't that fast.
Right.
I think we found a plot hole. Anything to add there? What else could they do, really? A quick notification system.
I mean, could they use like the Flu network or something, maybe? But
Yeah, Flu is much quicker, and
the coins in Deathly Hallows, right?
Well, only Hermione has those.
Oh, well, a system similar to that.
Yeah. I think the Flu network is probably what most people use anyway, because it's like picking up the telephone. Faster than snail mail or owl mail.
Is it like a relay system where everybody has 5 more people that they got to notify? So I notify you 3, and then you 3 notify another 3?
Sounds about right.
Okay, next voicemail.
Hey, MuggleCast Hotline. This is Kelly from Chicago. I haven't been listening. I just discovered you guys, so you may have covered this, but question about the Wizarding World economy. If we figure that Hogwarts serves all wizarding kids in the British Isles, does the size of the Wizarding World economy match up with the number of students that are being pushed out? If we figure Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade, shop worker, Ministry of Magic employee, the rare opening on Hogwarts teaching staff, and little things like night bus driver, can the Wizarding World economy support the number of kids who come out of Hogwarts and look for jobs, and vice versa? Thanks a lot for your consideration. You guys do a great job. Bye.
I don't think so. There can't be enough jobs in the Wizarding World. You think, how many kids are graduating from Hogwarts and then these other wizarding schools every year? There can't be jobs for all of them.
Well, do we know of any characters that are unemployed?
No.
There you go.
But this is another plot hole. Bernie Sanders needs to run on this in 2020. I will create more jobs for the Wizarding World. I just need a $27 donation.
Bernie's a Brit?
Well, I'm trying to think of any characters, though, that... Well, Mundungus, he's kind of unemployed, isn't he? Like, he's underground trader.
Own trade, yeah.
I guess one of the parents could just be a stay-at-home parent, like Molly Weasley.
Yeah, possibly.
But, yeah, I don't know. The math just wouldn't seem to add up to me, because Kelly's bringing up, you got Diagon Alley, you got Ministry of Magic, you got places like Hogsmeade, but these aren't enough to support 100 people graduating from Hogwarts each year. I don't know. Doesn't add up, I don't think.
Interesting.
Probably more than 100. All right, then a final voicemail regarding our upcoming trivia night party.
Hey guys, this is Megan calling. I actually was just finishing up listening to your most recent episode about Slughorn and everything that goes on with him in that chapter, and then at the end you're talking about how the winnings from the Harry Potter trivia night, with the open bar and everything, who's all invited and stuff. I'm really offended that us Slug Club members on the Patreon weren't invited to this. Like, it would be an all-out brawl if you invited all of us and only, 10 of us got to come? That'd be so fun. I would be in on that. I just really hope you guys have a good time with that and can't wait to hear how that goes. Bye.
Yeah, well, we'll share full details. I think, what do you want us to do, Megan? Like Fortnite, like the Battle Royale, have everybody fight it out until we come down to 2 people? It just seems...
I'm assuming she's in the Chicago area.
I don't even think so. It's a 928 area code. Where is that?
Mm-hmm.
Looking it up really quick. No, it's in Arizona.
Yeah.
She isn't coming out here. But thank you, Megan. Good thought. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. We actually have an announcement, so we will probably go back to chapter by chapter next week. I am excited to share that we now, after receiving requests for it, have a archive of every single chapter by chapter episode we have done. So you can easily find the episode in which we talk about any chapter in the Harry Potter series. This is available at MuggleCast.com. You will see a link. We'll put it in the show notes of this episode so you can easily find it. Upon doing the research for this, we realized that we actually never finished Order of the Phoenix because we ended the show for a time being. And we also realized that we never did the final chapter of Sorcerer's Stone. So one day we will finish these off because we have to be completionists here, right?
Yeah.
Who knows when? No promises of when. But yeah, so that is now available over at MuggleCast.com. We want to say thank you to Danielle, who helped us get this together. She actually sent us a list with all the episodes corresponding to each chapter, so it was enormously helpful. And it's thanks to her that this page exists. It came together as quickly as it did. So thank you, Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to have to compile.
No. And I went through some of the episodes to confirm she was right, and man, it's crazy listening to those earlier episodes. I wasn't able to pull it up, but in episode 42, Laura's like, hey guys, I did the math on chapter by chapter. We're going to finish chapter by chapter, all the books by episode 180 or something like that. And Kevin's like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Well, I think Kevin was right in the end.
So send us your feedback about Chapter 5 of Half-Blood Prince, and we might include it on next week's episode of the show. And don't forget to support us over at Patreon if you haven't already. We would really appreciate it. You will get instant access to the show notes as they come together week to week. You will be able to possibly join us on the show like Matt did today. You'll be a part of our exclusive Facebook group. You'll be able to help guide the discussions. You'll get a physical gift every year. You'll get access to bonus MuggleCast. There's a whole lot happening over at patreon.com/MuggleCast. Matt, thanks for joining us today. Hope you had a good time.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Hopefully you weren't too overwhelmed by this Fantastic Beasts info dump.
No, all good.
But I heard you laughing a lot, so it sounded like it was at least entertaining.
It is.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your support. We really appreciate it. No Quizzitch this week, by the way. Eric, why are you taking a week off? What happened?
Well, because I couldn't, for next week's question, do a Chapter 6 thing because we aren't going back to the chapter. I didn't want to be off a week, so I'm giving people... Plus, it was a harder question that we asked last week. I will reiterate, here it is. The night Harry arrives at the Burrow, which characters does he spot who aren't in the film adaptation, and which characters does he not interact with that he does in the movie? And this is, we're going into the chapter An Excess of Phlegm from Half-Blood Prince the next time we do chapter by chapter. So I'm taking a week off here because I don't want to get out of line with what we're doing for questions.
Plus,
and
go ahead.
There you go.
I was going to make a joke about it's Labor Day, so we all know that we always take Quizzitch off on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Or are you going to go the same way, Micah?
No, I was. It just is worth mentioning, though, that all of the information that we got from this week's discussion is from a series of reports over on MuggleNet.com that staffer Claire did during her set visit, and there's a lot more information there. I encourage people to go check it out and read through all the different reports. Then there's interviews with David Heyman, David Yates, and several of the cast members.
Yeah.
So worth giving it a read.
Include a link in the show notes so people can easily access them. We did try to have Claire on to talk through all this stuff with us, but she was in the middle of traveling, so it just didn't work out. But thanks to her for her great research. And hey, Warner Brothers, maybe invite us next time.
Hint, hint.
Hint. We'll do a set report here on the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Matt.
See everybody next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hi, MuggleCast. My name is Erica from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I was calling in to let you know how I got involved in Harry Potter. So it was the summer of the year 2000, and my mom was part of one of those mail-in order book clubs, and she got the fourth Harry Potter book, and with it came the first 3 for 1 cent if you ordered the fourth book. So this huge package of books came. I had no idea what it was, and I read the first chapter myself. I said, "What is this? I don't understand it." So I was 7 years old, almost 8 at the time, and my mom decided to read it to me. Well, then after she started reading it to me and explaining it a little bit, I loved it so much, I ended up finishing the first book by myself. And then by the time I hit 4th grade, I had read all the books, knew all the answers, and now, 18 years later, I'm still a Harry Potter nerd for life. So, thanks for letting me share my story in MuggleCast, and I'm going to keep listening for a very long time. Bye, guys.
Hi, MuggleCast. Here's my story for how I first discovered Harry Potter. I was 5 years old, and my mom had read the first few books and suggested that my dad and I should start reading them. So my dad read Sorcerer's Stone to me a few chapters every night. I don't really remember the exact moment when I fell in love with the series, but I do know that the following summer, my 6th birthday party was Harry Potter themed, so by then I must have been hooked. My dad continued to read each book to me, and I continued to reread them dozens of times. Even though I was 10 years old and a voracious reader when the 7th book was released, my first experience with Deathly Hallows was when my dad read it to me. I continue to reread the series every year, and am as in love with the series now as I was when I was 5 years old. Thanks so much for all you do, and happy 20 years to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Bye.
Hi, MuggleCast. This is Alicia Mason calling from New Brunswick, Canada. As part of your voicemail request, I discovered Harry Potter when I was 11, which was a fitting age, just wandering around the Chapters bookstore that we have here. And I picked it up and I thought, hey, this looks like a cool book. Mom and Dad, can I get it? And I was hooked ever since. And so I think that was back in year 2000 because I was in the 6th grade. And I remember I couldn't wait to go out and get Chamber of Secrets. And then I was following the book series ever since. Love the show. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Hey, MuggleCast. It's Sarah from Ontario, Canada. I got into Harry Potter in 2000. I was working at a summer camp, and one of the other counselors brought book 4 to a campfire, and all the kids started freaking out. I had no idea what was going on. And then I learned about Harry Potter, and then when I got home from camp later in the month, I borrowed book 1 from my neighbor, and the rest is history. Thanks for taking my call. Bye.
Hey, MuggleCasters. This is Vera calling in regards to the Patreon question of how we came upon the Harry Potter series. And my answer is that I was introduced to the Potter series by my grade 5 and 6 teacher. She was always reading us the book. She actually read the first and the second book to the class, and because I loved it so much at the time, she even gave me a copy of Chamber of Secrets when I was leaving her class in grade 6. So she was the first one to get me hooked on the books. That was probably when I was in grade 5 and 6, so it was probably like 1999 to 2000. So she was reading the books to us even then. I still have that copy of the book to this day, and I just love it. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to my voicemail. Keep up the great work, and have an awesome day, guys. Bye.
Hey, MuggleCast. So I'm going to try and answer this question as quickly as possible. My name is Michelle, by the way. So my Harry Potter journey is not as linear as everyone else's. I first liked Harry Potter in 2001, when I was 9, when I watched the Sorcerer's Stone movie. I love the movies, but not the books for some reason, because when I was trying to read Sorcerer's Stone, the book, I couldn't understand what Hagrid was saying, and I was just like, I'll just watch the movies. So I watched all the movies until Goblet of Fire, because Cedric's death scared me, so I stopped watching after Goblet of Fire, and I went years without knowing anything about Harry Potter until my freshman year in college, when I watched a Harry Potter musical. And I was like, wait, maybe I do like Harry Potter. And so I wanted to read all the books and watch all the movies that were out before Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out. And so I did that, and I went to a midnight premiere of Deathly Hallows Part 2. And so that's my story in a nutshell. A Harry Potter musical is what helped me get back into Harry Potter. And I've been here ever since. So that's my Harry Potter discovery journey. Yeah. Bye.
Hi, MuggleCast. This is Jared from Virginia. I discovered Harry Potter when a girl I liked, who secretly also liked me, but I didn't know that, convinced me to see Sorcerer's Stone in theater. My younger siblings had been reading the series since they debuted and had gone to see the movie already, but I had had no interest because I was a mature high school student. I ended up loving the movie and went home and devoured the books within a few days, and I have been hooked ever since.
Hey, MuggleCast. My name is Tyler. I'm calling about just my story of how I've come to know Harry Potter. So it's kind of funny. I actually grew up not liking Harry Potter. It's funny because my birthday's in July, and my aunt would always give me the Harry Potter books, and I would never read them. I actually went so far as hollowing out the Order of the Phoenix book, because it was such a big book and it was great to hide stuff in. But that all changed when I met my girlfriend, LeClaire, in junior year of college, and she absolutely loves Harry Potter. She had the opposite childhood in that her family would listen to the CDs in the car, and she read all the books like 1,000,000 times and seems to win every single trivia night without fail. But when I met her, our first summer of our relationship, she went to study abroad in London. And so as a way to stay connected and get to know her more fully, I decided, I'm going to read these Harry Potter books. And I read all 7 Harry Potter books in a month, which is actually a huge feat for me because I am like the slowest reader you'll ever meet. So that was an amazing way to stay connected and get to understand her and her childhood growing up. And it's actually come full circle in this May. she graduated from grad school, and we went out to London and up to Edinburgh in Scotland for a trip based around Cursed Child and seeing J.K. Rowling's stomping grounds. And I proposed on that trip, so now we're engaged and going to get married. So it's exciting stuff, and we use MuggleCast all the time to stay connected in our long-distance relationship while I'm in Illinois and she's in Indiana. So thank you for all that you guys do, and keep up the good work. Hopefully, I didn't tell her I was going to do this, but hopefully she'll be listening to your podcast and hear this, and it'll make her happy. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I went to a play at my high school auditorium and found a library copy of Sorcerer's Stone wedged in the seat. So I started reading it before the play began, and I got hooked. So just like the wand chooses the wizard, the books chose me.
Hey, MuggleCast, this is Trevor from Oregon, and I had kind of a funny story of how I came across the Harry Potter series. Somewhat funny story. So my mom at the time was working at a small bookstore. She was the manager there in the town I grew up in Oregon. And the second book was on an advanced read, meaning that to see if you wanted to carry it and how many copies you wanted to carry in your store. So she had given the first two copies, being a young adult series, and my dad and I having kind of similar reading tastes, she gave them to my dad. And while he was reading them, he didn't, I guess at the time, mention anything about the series to my mom, or as my mom said. And he returned them to my mom. She took them back to the store. And then later, one of her coworkers was just ranting and raving about the series, saying it was like the best thing she had ever read. My mom was like, "What? My husband didn't mention anything about this." So she went home just totally pissed off and was like almost like yelling at my dad. And I remember this argument to this day, and they were just going back and forth about it, like fighting. And he was like, "No, I did not say that, blah, blah, blah," just going off about it. And he was like saying that I thought it was amazing, and it was like some of the best things I've read since Lord of the Rings. And she was like, "You did not say that." And I'm like thinking, Mom and Dad, this is the stupidest argument ever. And for whatever reason, I didn't read the series until the third book was out. Maybe because I was in high school at the time and I thought I was too cool. I have no idea. But I picked up the first three, and then I remember being mad because I had to wait for the fourth book to come out. And anyways, that's my story. It's over a minute, so yeah. Later, guys.
Hi, MuggleCasters. This is Neil from Boston, Massachusetts. I first read Harry Potter in 2001 when I was in the third grade. There was a girl in my class that I had a crush on, and I knew she liked Harry Potter because I had asked about the golden snitch on her backpack. I had been given a copy of the first book the previous year, and I decided to give it a try in hopes of impressing her. Immediately, I was hooked. I quickly devoured the series, and I haven't looked back since. Although I haven't seen her in years, I'm still grateful to her for inspiring me to try the Harry Potter books all those years ago.
Hi, MuggleCast. It's Steph from Milwaukee. I got into Harry Potter when my cousin sent me the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for Christmas in 1999. I read it in a day, and then the day after Christmas, my mom took me to Borders and bought me the next two in the series. Prisoner of Azkaban had come out in September of 99, so it was brand new and still really cool. Anyway, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hi, this is Grace from North Carolina. I wanted to respond to your Patreon question about how I got into Harry Potter. My mom started reading me the series when I was really young, and then she stopped at Goblet of Fire because she was afraid I'd be scared. And a couple of years later, I picked them up and burned all the way through them, and then I really fell in love with the audiobooks. I used to listen to them to sleep at night. They really helped with anxiety, and when I went to college, I went back to that, and now I really enjoy the audiobooks constantly as an adult. I even listen to them at work. But I was about 5 years old when I got into Harry Potter and have been there since the last 20 years, and it's been a wonderful 20 years. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, this is Shane. I was introduced to the series right before the first movie came out. I was pretty sure that they were going to be awful because I have an aversion to anything that is popular, and my friend of mine was like, no, you have to read this. So I read the first one, she let me borrow it, and then I traded it for the second one, and I traded that one for the third one, and I believe that Goblet of Fire was out by then. I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, by the time I saw the Sorcerer's Stone movie, I was pretty much hooked. So I never judge a book by its cover, I guess. Oh, I hate the sound of my voice.
Hey guys, this is Megan. I'm from Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm calling about the question for the week: how did we discover Harry Potter? When did we get hooked? How did we get hooked? That kind of thing. I discovered it in 1998. I was 10 years old, and I had read every book in my school's library. I grew up in a small little podunk town, and the library wasn't the best, but I had read every book there. And all of a sudden we got this new book in, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and because it was the newest book, the only one I hadn't read, I read it and was immediately hooked. And ever since then, I always waited for the releases of the next one to come out. So yeah, that's how I get hooked. I had nothing else to read. Thanks, and can't wait to hear the episode.
Hi, MuggleCast. My name is Rebecca, and I got into Harry Potter when my 7th grade teacher had the first 2 books in her classroom, and on the first day of school, she really talked up both of them. I wasn't really into fantasy or anything, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And I read the first 2 and was absolutely hooked. I was lucky enough that the 3rd one came out that year, and she bought it for the class, and I borrowed it from her immediately, and basically haven't stopped reading them ever since. Thanks!
Hi, MuggleCast. It's Danielle in Maryland. I was in 6th grade when Sorcerer's Stone was published in the U.S., and for a few of my book-loving friends, they were all over it that year. I hated reading books that weren't assigned, though, and I'd rather spend my time watching MTV. So in 8th grade, one night I was babysitting these little kids for a few hours, and they struck me as kind of nerdy kids, so when they begged me to watch the first Harry Potter movie with them, I kind of rolled my eyes thinking, whatever, babysitting will be easy this way. I'm not watching it, though, because I'm not a dork. But I did watch it, and I loved it. But I still hated reading, so I was actually a movie fan only for a really long time. Then I made it a point not to read any of the books at all until all the movies were out. Avoiding spoilers was super, super hard, but I made it through. I basically hated how good books tended to ruin good movies, and I wanted to love the movies. And it worked. In 2011, I went ahead and read all 7 books back to back, and I've read them several times since, and I love them so much, and it led me to read other books. I'm in real deep to fandom now, and I know I have a strange Potter journey, but I don't really regret it. I find a lot less to complain about when I'm watching the films, since they were all absolutely perfect to me at each midnight release. Thanks, and keep doing what you're doing, guys. I love your show.
Hi, guys. This is Andrew calling from Palm Springs, California. Got your guys' email asking for voicemails, and I wanted to give my response. I first discovered Harry Potter, it was in 5th grade. This was back in, I think it was like 1999 or something. And my teacher brought it into class one day as an option. Like, we always used to get to vote what book we would have read to us that whatever period of time. And when she mentioned Harry Potter, everyone in the classroom raised their hands, and I had never heard of it. And that was the first time I was really exposed to it. But it was one funny thing that I always remember is that my teacher pronounced Hermione's name as Hermione. So for years, when I read the book, I would read Hermione's name as Hermione. And it wasn't until the actual first movie came out that I realized I was pronouncing it wrong this whole entire time. but I fell in love with it right away. I've read each book so many times that I can't even count. I own way too many of each edition of, way too many editions of each of the books, and have just been obsessed ever since. Thanks for everything you guys do. Keep the podcast going. Bye.
Hey, MuggleCast, this is Caitlin from New Jersey, just calling to share my experience of finding Harry Potter a little late. Like a normal person, I read the first book, I think, in first or second grade, and I just never continued reading them for some reason, and then after a few years, I felt like it was a little too late to get into it. Everybody had already read it and was starting to get into movies, so I just watched some of the first few movies and never really continued. My closest best friends are all huge Harry Potter fans, so I've always been surrounded by it. And I just was never part of the fun. So finally, a couple of years ago, they basically pulled a much-needed intervention and asked why I wasn't a fan of it after being friends with them for so long and what I was doing to myself. So I finally read them 2 years ago, and I just cannot believe I wasted so much time. It's been so fun to basically dive headfirst into a fandom that's been thriving spectacularly for 2 decades, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. It's been so fun listening to this podcast. It's been an amazing way for me to learn so much, go back and see what fans were thinking during some of the periods, and revisit old theories and be part of new theories, and it's just been an awesome time. So thanks for being part of my Harry Potter journey, and I can't wait for the rest of the years.
Hey, MuggleCast, I've been a long-time listener, and I think the reason that I love Harry Potter so much is because of how I got into it. I grew up in a Muggle household, so Harry Potter was not allowed in it at all. In my senior year of high school in 2009, my friends thought that was a tragedy, so they began to smuggle books to me. So throughout my last semester of high school, they would give me books and I would read them at home. I would take them at home. I would read them in the back of a lot of my classes my senior year. That senioritis really hit me. And then it all culminated when Half-Blood Prince came out that summer, and of course in natural Harry Potter fashion, that's when the trouble starts, because actually that is when my parents found out I had been reading them, and they actually found out the night of the midnight premiere. It all went down. It was kind of crazy. Turned out to be a great, fun story to look back on, but that is how I got into Harry Potter, and I have been hooked ever since, with my crew of friends all jumping in and being sure that I had a chance to experience the series. Guys, thank you so much for producing what you guys do. Love the show. Talk to you later.
Hi, MuggleCast. This is Courtney from San Jose. Sorry about my first message. I was having trouble. I know you asked callers or Patreons or listeners to call in with their Harry Potter story, and I know I'm a little bit late, but I still wanted to share. I was introduced to Harry Potter. My grandparents actually bought me the Goblet of Fire in an attempt to get me to read. I don't think they realized it was the 4th book, and I had no idea either. I think I read the first chapter and was like, this is ridiculous. I cannot do this, and I probably had no idea what was going on anyways. So I forgot about the book, and then the next year, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out, the movie, and my dad and my sister dragged me to it, and I was like, ugh, this is going to be so stupid. And I ended up loving the movie, and was so down for bleach blonde slick back hair Draco that I was like hooked ever since then. And I saw the movie a bunch more times after that, and I actually went out and I bought Sorcerer's Stone book, and the rest is history. So the film series can do everybody a little bit of good. So anyways, love your guys' show, and thank you guys for reading my comments. And I love you. Bye.